The 12 Dancing Princesses. Once upon a time there was a king. He had 12 beautiful daughters. The 12 princesses were very lovely. They all slept in one big room. There were 12 beds in that room. Every night the king shut the door and locked it. He wanted to be sure the princesses stayed in their room. But every morning something strange happened. The princesses' shoes were completely worn out. The bottoms of the shoes had many holes. It looked as if the princesses had been dancing all night long. The king was very surprised. He did not understand how it happened. No one could explain where the princesses went at night. The king became very angry and worried. He made an announcement to all the land. He said, "If any man can discover the secret and find out where my daughters dance at night, he can marry the princess he likes best. After I die, he will become the new king. But if a man tries and cannot find the answer after 3 days and 3 nights, he will be killed." Many young men heard the king's words. A king's son came first. The king welcomed him and gave him good food and a nice room. In the evening, the king's son was taken to a chamber next to the princess's room. The door of his chamber was left open so he could hear everything. He had to sit and watch where the princesses went to dance. But the king's son soon fell asleep. When he woke up in the morning, he saw that the princesses had danced again. The bottoms of their shoes were full of holes. The same thing happened on the second night and on the third night. The king was very angry. He ordered the young prince's head to be cut off. After him, many other men came. Some were princes, some were rich young men. They all tried to solve the mystery. They all slept in the same chamber. They all fell asleep at night. Every morning the shoes of the princesses were worn out again. And every time the king ordered the men to be killed. Many men lost their lives in this way. One day, an old soldier came to the country. He had been wounded in battle and could not fight anymore. He was poor and had no home. While he was walking through a big wood, he met an old woman. The old woman asked him, "Where are you going?" The soldier answered honestly, "I do not really know where I am going or what I should do, but I think I would like to find out where the 12 princesses dance at night. If I can discover the secret, I may marry one of them and become king one day." The old woman smiled and said, "That is not a very hard task, but you must be careful. In the evening, one of the princesses will bring you a cup of wine. Do not drink any of that wine. As soon as she leaves the room, pretend to be fast asleep." Then the old woman gave him a special cloak and said, "When you put this cloak on, you will become invisible. No one will see you. You will be able to follow the princesses wherever they go." The soldier thanked the old woman for her good advice. He decided to try his luck. He went to the king's palace and told the king he wanted to solve the mystery. The king welcomed him kindly, just like the others. He gave the soldier fine royal clothes and a good room. When evening came, the soldier was led to the chamber next to the princess's room. The door was left open. Just as he was going to lie down, the eldest princess came to him with a cup of wine. The soldier thanked her politely, but he threw the wine away secretly. He did not drink even one drop. Then he lay down on his bed and began to snore loudly, as if he was fast asleep. When the 12 princesses heard the loud snoring, they laughed. The eldest princess said, "This man will lose his life too, just like the others." They thought they were safe. They opened their drawers and boxes and took out all their beautiful dresses. They dressed themselves carefully in front of the mirror. They laughed and moved around the room because they were excited to start dancing. But the youngest princess looked worried. She said, "I do not know why, But while you're all so happy, I feel very uneasy. I'm sure something bad will happen to us." The eldest princess laughed at her and said, "You are a simpleton. You are always afraid. Have you forgotten how many kings' sons have already tried and failed? Even if I had not given the soldier the sleeping wine, he would have slept anyway." When the princesses were all ready, they went to look at the soldier. He was still snoring loudly and did not move at all. They thought they were completely safe. The eldest princess went to her own bed and clapped her hands. Suddenly, her bed sank into the floor and a trapdoor opened. The soldier was still awake. He saw everything. He quickly put on the magic cloak the old woman had given him. Now, he was invisible. He jumped up and followed the princesses quietly down through the trapdoor. But in the middle of the stairs, he stepped on the gown of the youngest princess. She cried out, "Something is wrong! Someone touched my gown!" The eldest princess said, "You silly girl. It is only a nail in the wall." They continued going down. At the bottom, they came to a beautiful grove of trees. The leaves on the trees were all made of silver. They glittered and sparkled in the moonlight. The soldier wanted to take something as a proof. He broke off a small silver branch. The tree made a loud noise. The youngest princess was frightened again and said, "I am sure something is wrong. Did you hear that noise?" "It never happened before." The eldest princess answered, "It is only our princess shouting for joy because we are coming." They walked further and came to a second grove. Here all the leaves were made of gold. They shone brightly. The soldier broke off a small golden branch. Again, there was a loud noise. The youngest princess trembled with fear, but the eldest sister still said it was only the princess shouting with joy. They walked to a third grove. In this grove, the leaves were all glittering diamonds. They sparkled like stars. The soldier broke off a small diamond branch. Once more, there was a loud noise. The youngest princess was very afraid, but the eldest princess told her not to worry. Finally, they came to a great lake. At the side of the lake, there were 12 small boats. In each boat sat a handsome prince. The princes were waiting for the princesses. Each princess stepped into one boat. The soldier, who was still invisible, stepped into the same boat as the youngest princess. As they rowed across the lake, the prince in their boat said, "I do not understand why, but today the boat is very heavy. I am rowing with all my strength, but we are moving slowly. I am already tired." The youngest princess answered, "It is only because of the warm weather. I also feel very warm." On the other side of the lake stood a beautiful castle. All the windows were brightly lit. Merry music of horns and trumpets came from the castle. The princes and princesses landed and went inside. Each prince danced with his own princess. The invisible soldier also danced with them. Whenever a princess had a cup of wine, the soldier drank it all secretly. When the princess put the cup to her mouth, it was empty. The youngest princess was terribly frightened, but the eldest sister always told her to be quiet. They danced and danced until 3 o'clock in the morning. By then, all their shoes were completely worn out. They had to stop dancing. The princess rowed them back across the lake. This time, the soldier sat in the boat with the eldest princess. On the other shore, the princes and princesses said goodbye. The princesses promised to come again the next night. When they reached the stairs, the soldier ran quickly ahead of them. He lay down on his bed and pretended to sleep. The 12 princesses came up slowly. They were very tired. They heard the soldier snoring loudly. They said, "Now everything is safe." They took off their beautiful dresses, put away their fine clothes, removed their worn-out shoes, and went to bed. In the morning, the soldier said nothing about what he had seen, but he decided to see more of this strange adventure. He went again the second night and the third night. Everything happened exactly the same way. The princesses danced until their shoes were worn to pieces, and then they returned home. On the third night, the soldier took one of the golden cups from the castle as a token of where he had been. When the 3 days and 3 nights were over, the time came for the soldier to tell the secret. He was taken before the king. He brought the 3 branches, one silver, one golden, and one with diamonds, and the golden cup. The 12 princesses stood behind the door and listened nervously to hear what he would say. The king asked him, "Where do my 12 daughters dance at night?" The soldier answered clearly, "They dance with 12 princes in a beautiful castle under the ground." Then he told the king the whole story. He showed him the 3 branches and the golden cup. The king called for the princesses and asked them if the soldier's words were true. When the princesses saw that they were discovered and that it was useless to lie, they confessed everything. The king then asked the soldier, "Which of my daughters do you want to marry?" The soldier smiled and said, "I am not very young, so I will choose the eldest princess." The king agreed. The soldier and the eldest princess were married that very day. The soldier became the king's heir and later became king himself. And that is the end of the story of the 12 dancing princesses.
Подпишись, пожалуйста, или хотя бы поставь лайк. Один лайк не меняет мир, но меняет путь того, кто делится смыслом.